Evening. Nice to see you. So, one of the big requests I've had from patrons and a few friends actually, to do a Fireside Rant podcast. Now, the Fireside Rant, something that in university I used to go on quite long tangents about things that really irked me. And people would just kind of sit there and amuse themselves by just, one, taking the piss out of me, number one, but also listening and just laughing, you know, how grumpy I could get, I suppose. And a few separate people said that you should. Like, I'm just imagining you sitting in front of a fire with like a smoking jacket on and a glass of cognac, just pointing your pipe at me, and another thing, you know, that sort of thing. I thought it'd be quite cool to do a podcast every week, just for an hour, where I sit down, I talk about what's going on in my life, I talk about things that are irking me, things that are getting on my nerves, and you know, I converse with you a lot as well. Email is always there for people who want to get in touch and become a part of the podcast. But yeah, it's basically just a podcast where it's very raw, as everything is that I do. I sit down, say what's on my mind that week, and we go from there, to be honest with you. So, how was everybody? I'm pretty good. Right, my missus is on her way over here on the 28th, which is going to be great. A week today. Fantastic. So a week from today, I'll be locked up in a house in Liverpool, which is going to be really, really nice. So what's been going on in the world? So I posted a video yesterday about Games Workshop, about the practices of them telling you how you should feel and how you should think, and it's gotten a fair few responses, which is great. Which is awesome. A few people seem to have missed the point. I think at least one missed the point when they started talking about, you know, George Floyd, the man who got murdered, and that's what started off the whole Black Lives Matter thing in entirety. I think a lot of people, it's pulling in a lot of people that I think, not a lot of people, a few, that have just missed the point. I completely agree with the sentiment and the goals of the movement at the moment. What I don't agree with is how it's being implemented. How people are generally, you know, acting like dicks to get what they want. It's not something that sits right with me, and I don't think it ever will. But that's where I stand anyway. So that's my official stance. I know sometimes my content can be filled with vitriol and anger and things like that. At the end of the day, I do that because it's quite cathartic for me to get it out there in that way. Quite cathartic for me to put that on the internet. And if someone disagrees with me, then I talk to them. And if they agree with me, then great. And we talk about, you know, how we can improve things, which has been great. Most of the discourse on the video has been absolutely fantastic. So carry on doing it. What I wouldn't do is, you know, don't think I agree with you if you say things like, you know, he got what he deserved, sort of a thing. That's not where I stand. And if that's what the video is getting to you, then I mean, I've watched it back a few times to make sure. I failed to see how you can come to that conclusion. So, you know, if that's your opinion, that's all great. And do you know what? You should be allowed to voice that opinion, and I'd fight for your right to have that opinion. That's one thing that I think is lost in the world at the moment. One of the things that really irks me, that this load of people over here, they're allowed an opinion, whereas this load of people over here are not allowed an opinion. I had one of my friends of a good few years come and disagree with me on a few points that I made, mainly from an argumentative standpoint, agreeing with the gist but not how the point was made. Ironically, when I thought about it, I think the same problem I have with the BLM movement, the same problem he had with the way I went about my argument. You know, I agree with the sentiment, but I don't agree with the way you've gone about it. That sort of a thing. Which is fair enough. But I don't like the way people are like jumping on people in the comments. I don't want my channel to be like that. This is an open forum, okay? If someone disagrees with you, then fair enough, disagree with them, but no name calling, please, and no being a little bitch. Like, you know, you're behind a keyboard. you wouldn't say that to this to anyone's face, you know what I mean? So let's just keep it all above the belt and try and have a discourse here, because when people say, you know, the left is can't criticize them, you can't talk to them, you can't have a go at them, because they retreat into their safe space and they start yelling racist at you. Well, we can't then have the same response to people who disagree with us. That's not how discourse works. And especially if any of you in the comments are university educated, I would expect you to know better than that. You know, like this is an open forum. We can talk, we can argue respectfully, and hopefully a lot of people come and they're a lot more enlightened and a lot more open to new ideas when we talk on this channel. So it's a tiny channel, and I'm not expecting this channel to ever be anything big. It's literally just for me and people of a like mind to get together and just shoot the shit, you know. So that's the disclaimer on what was said yesterday in the video on Games Workshop. So, but again, I will talk in this podcast about anything and everything that I find interesting. So, not all of it you may find interesting. I know on my channel I've got a lot of Games Workshop people. I've got a lot of people who like to write. I've got a lot of people who like building fantasy worlds. I've got a lot of people who like watching gameplay. I've got a lot of people who just like listening to me harp on about rubbish. Hopefully I'll please you all in the podcast. But to be honest with you, there's going to be a lot of content here that some people go, that's not for me. That's fine. I listened to a guy called Bill Burr. It was a podcast. Very famous comedian, but he does a really good podcast. I suggest you go and watch it, or listen to it. And he goes on about things I don't particularly find interesting, but I find him interesting, and so I give these things a chance. And that's what I'm going to try and do on this channel as well. I am, boilerplate disclaimer as well, I am woefully ignorant of most things in the world. I talk a load of rubbish until I'm set right. So if there's something you disagree with or something that you think I'm misinformed on, please get in touch. Put it in the comments. Send me an email. I like to be educated. Well, yeah, chill out, talk. That's literally what this podcast is going to be. That's what I wanted the first 10 minutes just to go over. Put those few disclaimers out there so we can get on with it. The first thing I wanted to go on about is Games Workshop. So, and again, I will be sitting here blabbing on and looking at the internet and looking at different websites as I talk to you here. That's not something I can do when I'm doing a video. I've normally accrued all of my points, my research by then. So if something else pops into my head, generally I'm stuck and I've just got to carry on. But yeah, what would be good to do? Let's answer some of the questions that you guys put on the video. Answer some of those questions. So, from Havoc91, have been eyeing the new Skyrim miniatures for a while. What's your preference, plastic or resin? Plastic, all along plastic. I don't like resin very much. I don't like the amount of treatment you have to give to it. I agree with what some of my friends say in that, especially people who work for the company. That plastic is a very it's very you get what you see. It's not very malleable, whereas resin, you need to treat it. You can even need to heat it up and bend it and corrupt it and do all stuff, different sorts of things to it. I like converting models, so I quite like just having plastic. I quite like just having lots of bits to stick on my models and to change things around and do what I want. So I would say plastic. I don't like having to get warm water and scrub models before I, make them. I like to get the mold lines off and away we go. If there ever is a technology in Games Workshop where we can get rid of mold lines, I would be completely behind it. Completely. Even if, Anyway, thanks for the question. It's amazing how one message from one company can divide the community. Yeah, I agree. On terms of Games Workshop, yes. I mean, if anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, Games Workshop released a statement a few weeks ago where they essentially said, these are our politics. And I'm taking the left or right issue away from this, because that's not the problem here. And what their politics are is not the issue. Right? They could be saying, listen, we're all Nazis, and if you're not a Nazi, please don't play our game. I would still be just as upset as what they've done. Okay? So I'm taking the politics away from it. They literally said, if you don't agree with this blanket statement, which is very vague, by the way, you don't deserve to play the hobby, and we don't want you here. Now, that to me, again, feel free to disagree, but that to me was first time in ever, basically, where they said, listen, you're not welcome. You have these opinions, you're not welcome. Now, to them, obviously there are the extremes of the argument, and I think we uncovered a few in the comment section of that video, which I don't agree with. But there are a lot of other reasonable people out there who are listening to this video and who watched the video yesterday, who generally say things like, well, hang on, just there shouldn't be a bar of entry into your hobby. Okay, the hobby is for everyone. Okay, if a neo-Nazi wants to walk in and keep as long as he keeps his opinions and his politics to himself, a neo-Nazi wants to walk in and play as Eldar for a little while. Nothing wrong with that. Let him play. Because do you know what you do by excluding people like that? You make sure they'll never change. That's all you do. If you exclude someone who is a neo-Nazi, if you exclude someone who's on the far right from participating in your hobby, then that means they'll never come into contact with people who will change their mind. For instance, you know, if someone's really against transgender people, I don't know why they would. Let's just say they find them abhorrent and disgusting, and they walk into a Games Workshop store or any hobby store, and they see someone from the transgender community. They're playing and they have a really good time with them. They find out that they're a really cool person, even though they're quite standoffish at the start. This homophobe or whatever, transphobe, finds out that they're actually quite a nice person. That will stick in their craw. It really will. And it'll start changing a few minds. The only thing you do by excluding people is you create an echo chamber. And in doing that, you make sure that no one's ever going to come around to your point of view. You're never going to get to have a discourse with these people, which is why, in terms of the video and my channel in its entirety, I want it to be an open forum. I want people to be able to talk. So I guess that's, you know. AK Sushi, GW are not a moral company, never acted like one, and never done business like one. Yeah, I would agree with that. I definitely would agree with that. I would agree that they're not a moral company. Any company that charges a 500% markup on their products is not a good company. Any company that treats its staff in the way that I know I've been treated before, and a way that I know other people have been treated before, isn't a good company. Any company that willfully does business with countries like China, judging about what's going on at the moment, for money, by the way. You know, it's cheaper to have manpower over there. It's cheaper to make certain bits of machinery over there. It's cheaper to make certain kinds of models over there and ship them over. You know, I've got friends in America. Sorry, 1 second. I've got friends in America on the West Coast who say that all the models they get are made in China. Like, all of them. So, they're not made in Lenton, in Nottingham, as people like to report all the time. In America, most of them are made in China. You know, so I actually had a Games Workshop manager who I worked for once try and convince me that all of the models are made in Lenton, in Nottingham, in Warhammer World. They're not. They're not. They're just not. Any internet search will report that to you. They're not. Some of them are, definitely. If you get models in the UK, a lot of them will be made in Lenton. If you get stuff that's made to order in the UK or in Europe, a lot of them will be made in Lenton. If you make stuff to order from Australia, one of the main reasons why it's so expensive is because for some reason, maybe because you're part of the Commonwealth, all models that you get are made in the UK. They're not made in China. You know, there is always exceptions to that rule. Errant boxes go astray, you know, that sort of a thing. But, you know, most of the time that's how it works. So, any company that does business with China on such a scale that GW does is not a moral company. In AK Sushi or AK Sushi, I don't know what your, but you're completely right on what you say there. Yeah, so I'll definitely go along with that. So, from your experience working there, will Archer's email campaign do anything? So, I already answered that in the comments, but I'll answer it again. Good question from Big Mac. So, I think it will. As soon as it reaches a certain. When I was there, as soon as the emails that came in that were complaints reached a certain number, and the magic number when we were there was 500. Okay, so if something if there was a thing going on, right, and it was brought up in our training, and we were told not to discuss it or to discuss it or to say this or say that, company slogan. We were told if it reaches a certain number, then it's looked at very seriously. It's essentially a sackable offence. If you have a store and you have around 500 emails coming in saying we want this guy out, you're in big trouble. You're in big trouble. One of the things that I really hated about the community, and I use the word hate very carefully, and when I talk about hate, one of the things that I really hated about the community was I worked in a store where the manager was universally despised, not liked at all, and I worked at the store. I could see this, and I could see that he was despised for good reason, and people would complain to me all the time, and I would say, "Listen, do you see the blue T-shirt? Okay, is my T-shirt black or blue? Okay, it's blue. All right, so I'm not the manager. I am a body who's selling you models. At the end of the day, that's all I am to Games Workshop. So, complaining to me does literally nothing. What you need to do is go and email customer support and tell them what's going on. All right? And they never did. Nothing ever changed. The one thing they did do once is they wrote one letter and they all signed it. 12 of them signed it. Now, that's great, and that was sent into Games Workshop, but absolutely nothing changed. Absolutely nothing changed. So, it didn't hit that magic number. Again, they really don't care. If 12, and I use this term endearingly, okay? If 12 neckbeards in a Games Workshop store write a single letter and they all sign it and they send it into Games Workshop, that's going in the bin. If it gets seen by anybody at all, it's going in the bin. What the email campaign was designed to do was to hit that marker, was to get it across the line, so it gets in front of the people who have the power to make change, and to say, okay, we shouldn't have done that. But even if they don't, on the outside, say, you put out a retracting statement, going forward, they realise that getting involved in social politics is not what they're here for. They sell little toy models. Yeah, I think it will. I think it will. So I think most of the rest of it is basically arguments that I don't want to get into in this video, and yeah, it's basically stuff. So because you all are man enough to go and have discourse on your own, so we'll leave that alone. So that's all I'm going to say about Games Workshop for now. They've not done very well with this at all. I did have one comment saying Arch Warhammer isn't a very good person and yada yada. I never once in the video said he was. I do agree with what he's doing in terms of the email campaign there. I'm not on my channel. I'm not here to cast aspersions over whether somebody's a good person or not. That's not for me to say. I'm just some douchebag sitting in a room in Liverpool, giving you talking into a microphone. That's not for me to say, at all. I shrug. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Let's carry on. So, in terms of the working week, how's it been going? So Leviathan and in the Dark's coming along really well. That is the new setting that we're writing for the role playing campaign. This is a plan I've had for a long time, and a lot of people have been really patient with me. Like, I wanted to do it right. I don't just want to churn out a Driftwood setting. Go, there you go. That's it. Let's just do it. I wanted to make sure that it was done right, and that you all had something that you can actually get into and go out and read over a couple of days. So the campaign setting at the moment, I want you to get your money's worth, is standing around 13,000 words. So by the time it's finished, we should be around 15,000, maybe more. I've checked that's more than you'll get in most in most campaign settings. So that'll be. I'm trying to work out a way to put it on online. So you've got to put in an amount to download it. I think it might be Patreon's best. Um, you can put in zero, by the way. I'm not going to charge for this piece of background lore. It's quite extensive. It's taken me a long time, but I've enjoyed doing it. So basically, pass me whatever money you think's appropriate for my time, and lovely jubbly, and we'll go from there. Even if it's zero, because you want to read it first and see that I'm not talking absolute nonsense, that's completely fine as well. So once that comes out, it comes out on the 30th, so we're still sticking to that. It might even be out towards this weekend because I'm only doing the setting first, and the rules will be out a few weeks after that, basically, as we gear up towards the campaign itself. What I want people to do, if you want to be involved in the role-playing campaign, send me an email. I've already got a few people penciled in, but send me an email. If more people are signing up than can be fitted in, I will do multiple groups, and you will play once every couple of weeks. If we have enough for one group of 4 or 5, then I'll do it once a week. So we'll see how we go. And the reason why I'm doing the campaign setting first and the rules after is because I want you to read the campaign setting first, get immersed in the world, and start thinking about what you want your character to do, and then read the rules. Say, okay, I want to make that character. How am I going to make that character in these rules? Okay? And that will allow you to make your character much quicker than having all the rules there and being overwhelmed with loads of information all at once. That'll be out on the 30th. So well on track for that. It might even be, again, before then. As I said, my wife's here on the 28th, my wife to be. So I don't really want to be working too much while she's here. So, what else have we need to talk about this week? Cool. So, well, what a lot of people don't know about me is I'm an avid Football Manager player. I play Football Manager all the time, constantly, always on in the background. Huge football fan. Everton is my team. So the blue half of Merseyside is my team. A team that has most of its fans in Liverpool, as the case may be. And yeah, it's just something that I've been playing over the past couple of weeks. I've been really hammering it. I'm managing Inter Milan at the moment. And one funny thing that I didn't realise what I was doing, I've been playing this for years and years, but this is quite a new thing that's come out in the game, is that you can give sort of pre-match team talks. And when I say team talk, I mean like it's like a training thing, where you say, hey, this is how we're going to play. Like a tactical briefing, it's called. And, you know, I would always do these tactical briefings, and I would get no response from the players, and I'd be like, what the hell is going on? Why aren't my players here at Inter Milan reacting to what I'm saying? And I realised you have to invite the players to the meeting. Like, it's like one button where you invite them to the meeting. They all turn up in the meeting, and then you give them the thing. So what I've been doing, case in point, really, is going to the San Siro, this wonderful, massive stadium in Italy, going to my meeting room, and giving a meeting to an empty room, and then wondering why the hell my players aren't following my tactical instructions. So, yeah, little things like that will get on my nerves in terms of gaming at the moment. I'm just playing Ghost of Tsushima this week, sorry. Now this is the thing. Right, okay, we're into it. I've just finished Red Dead Redemption 2. Okay, just finished it. I just got a PS4 a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago. Because there's lots of games coming out for the PC that I like to sit down at a couch and just lie back and play the games, you know, with a controller. At the PC, you're sitting there in your desk and you're playing the game. It's not really what I want to do. So I went and got PS4, and I got Red Dead Redemption 2. I also got God of War, and I'll talk about all those games because I am so glad that I bit the bullet and I got PS4. I know the PS5 is out pretty soon, but the PS4s are pretty cheap right now. And I played God of War. Fantastic game from start to finish. Narratively amazing. And there were literally parts of that game where I was walking through the world thinking, how have they done this? How have they done this? It's ridiculous. Um, because it's almost the size of an open world game, you know, but it has that much detail afforded to it that my jaw dropped, and I've not really felt like that since The Witcher 3, to be honest. My jaw just dropped when I was playing it. It's ridiculous. Story was fantastic, writing was fantastic, combat was fantastic. If you want to know how I rate games, and this is a really stupid thing, but like in my own head and with my own bunch of friends as well, we have a 1 to 10 rating. Okay? And we have a rating that is an A. It's called Art, which goes above 10. And the art category is basically if you hold up a movie like Schindler's List and you say this is a work of art, I can hold up that video game and say this is also a work of art, as far as I'm concerned. You know? So, I would put God of War as the first game since The Witcher 3 to be put in that art category. So the first game in 5 years. And me and the friends that I have, this is the first game where any of us have played it, we've all put it in the art category. The main rule for the art category is if you need to think about it, it shouldn't go in. Okay? So some of the games that are on there, for instance, I've only got like 4 or 5. Final Fantasy 9 was one of them. Metal Gear Solid 3 was one of them. Dragon Age Origins was one of them. Mass Effect 2 was one of them. The Witcher 3 was one of them. And Skyrim. Oh no, New Vegas was one of them. And I think Skyrim may have gotten a 10. No, Skyrim's in there as well. So the 7 games. And 8 now with God of War that are in that category. So phenomenal. Go out and get it. If I would actually say the God of War game itself is worth the price of entry. Go out and get yourself a PS4. Absolutely fabulous, and yeah, loved every single second of it. So, Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, absolutely amazing game. Amazing. I gave it a solid 9 out of 10 in the end. Which is good. It's really, really good. It's a solid recommendation from me. What I didn't like is the way that it married this open world. In the open world of Red Dead Redemption 2, you can pretty much do whatever you want, which is a bit of a misnomer because if you try and do certain things, you will instantly die. As in robbing a train. Like, if you try and rob a train, chances are you're going to die. So you can't just do anything that you want, but the open world's pretty big, pretty expansive. There's lots of activities to do, and you can, But when you get to do the story missions of Red Dead Redemption 2, it's almost comically restrictive. In Red Dead Redemption 2, there'll be a mission, okay, any mission, where you've got to go save somebody from going in a prison cart, for instance. If you go about stopping that prison cart from getting to the jail in any way that Rockstar have not accounted for, so let's say Rockstar want you to ride up to the wagon, jump on, and stop the wagon, okay? Right, cool, fine. If you by chance shoot the guy on the wagon and then jump on, it will fail you instantly because you shot the guy who's on the wagon. There's no reason behind you not being able to shoot the guy on the wagon. There's no one around. You don't get any heat for it. There's no witnesses. But they didn't count for it. So it's failed. If you lasso the guy who's driving the wagon off the wagon, you will fail the mission. Again, there's no reason why you can't lasso the guy off the wagon and tie him up and then get on and then jump on the wagon. No witnesses around, but you'll fail the mission. That's not what they accounted for. They accounted for you riding up to the side of the wagon, jumping on, pushing him off, and stopping the wagon. If you do it in any other way, it will fail you. I've not been that frustrated with a game in years. And if the entire game was like that, if it was very railroady, if it was kind of like the Order 1866, for instance, where it's very railroady, it's very, I wouldn't be bothered. I'd say, okay, yeah, fair enough. But it's not. Like the world encourages you to think in one way. That's completely open, go and do whatever you want. And then the story missions say, you dare take one single toe step from the design path that we've laid out, and I will stop. You will fail the mission. There was one mission later on where you're going with Charles Smith, my favourite character in Red Dead Redemption 2, by the way. Absolute badass. Apache. I think is he half black? Yeah, I think they say it's kind of weird. He's half black and half Indian. I don't know. But like, he's a fucking badass, right? So You're going into this you're going to free this Indian chief's son, basically, from this U.S. Army outpost. Really cool. So you're going in there, and you've got to sneak around and take on the guards really quietly. So you've got to jump in, go to the guard, and basically pull him down, or stealthily take him down. In essence, the game wants you to shoot him with your bow and arrow, but doesn't tell you that it wants you to shoot him with your bow and arrow, because that's a silent kill. But I like going behind people and shivving them, because I think I've got more control on them crying out that way. Do you know what I mean? It's just for immersion, really. So I went up behind this guy, kill him, and Arthur immediately fell over and failed the mission. I was like, that's weird, I didn't do that. But I did it again. Again, same thing happened. I then sighed, because I knew what the game was doing. I sighed, rolled my eyes. When the game reloaded, I got out my bow and arrow, and I shot him in the head, and the game carried on as normal. Things like that are just terrible. Like, why? It made no difference. It made no difference. But because I deviated from the path that Rockstar set out in a minute fashion, it automatically failed me, and I hated it. Hated that. I really did. And that's the main reason why it didn't go in the art category for me. And the other reason, spoilers, big spoilers for Red Dead Redemption 2. The main villain in Micah Bell is so unlikable, so irredeemable, and so uninteresting that it kind of ruined the story for me. And it was so predictable that he was the rat. It was so predictable that he was the guy who was betraying everyone. I was sitting there shouting at the screen, shoot Micah Bell. And I did that the first time I saw him. You have to break him out of prison, and he's acting like a dickhead, and he's being really racist the entire game to this other really cool character, Lenny. I'm like, fuck that guy, right? But the game makes you go and get him out of prison, because that's what the game wants you to do. Okay, you go and get him out of prison. He then pursues. He gives you shit the entire time. He then starts shooting up the entire town that you're in for no reason. At that stage, Arthur should have the decision to put a bullet in the side of his fucking head, because this guy's a psychopath and he's going to get everyone killed. Of course he doesn't, because the plot needs this guy to be alive, because he's the rat and he's the main villain. Lazy. So lazy. So lazy, so uninteresting. He even ends up, the camp gets a dog called Kane, and he ends up killing it off screen and then laughing about it, and no one kills him, no one does anything to him. It makes no sense that this guy's left unmolested at all. Right? Considering what Arthur does to other people in the story, it makes no sense this guy's let off the entire time, and even worse, he gets away with it. Now, I know in the epilogue John gets his revenge on Arthur's behalf and kills him, but he gets away with it for a long time. And I just, him dying in that way at the end, yeah, okay, it kind of redeemed it a little bit, but it still didn't make up for the fact that for 90% of the game, I'm shouting at the screen, shoot Micah Bell, he's going to betray you all. It's that obvious, I really love the interplay between the characters and the downfall of the gang really slowly, which shows that the writers at Rockstar really do have that writing chops and talent to actually write a downfall story really well. It's really tragic the way that Dutch van der Linde and the rest of them, the gang started falling apart, sort of a thing. I think they could have done that a lot better than just having Micah be the devil in Dutch's ear, and Dutch is too stupid to realise it. I'm not saying that was a bad thing. If you gave me a reason for Micah being there and not being killed by everybody, because Dutch is like relying on him because he's losing control of the gang, and Micah saying all the right things to him, being really good to him, and massaging his ego. That I can go along with, really, because Dutch is very egocentric, and it's revealed he's got a really huge god complex. That's what really destroys the gang going forwards. So rather than being like a Robin Hood type, he's actually not. He's just a thug, really, deep down. But that would have worked if you'd have made Micah Bell. If you'd have made a reason why Micah Bell isn't just shot by everybody, I would have made him like Arthur's brother, or something like that. There's a reason why Arthur doesn't kill him. There's a reason why other people don't kill him, because he's related to somebody in the gang. Do you know what I mean? That sort of a thing. But you just have him be some dude that they just picked up shortly before the story started, and have him obviously like be a traitor the entire time, and be completely beyond the pale, nasty to everybody. Right? This is a game in which if somebody looks at you the wrong way, you can just gun them down, and people do that. But yet Micah Bell's allowed to just walk around and do whatever the fuck he wants and kill dogs and do... No, it just made no sense. So the restrictiveness of the game and that were two reasons why it wasn't in the art category. Well, the last reason is the clunkiness of the combat at the start of the game. Now, later on, when you get more Deadeye points and you can start using Deadeye properly to get the combat to dream most of the time, really fun. Before then, it's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. Like it's just so clunky. It's the same GTA rubbish that they've had for years now, and I didn't like it. So, you know, that's why it's not in the art category. Good things. The world was amazing. The writing, apart from what I've already talked about, was absolutely superb. You know, the feeling of the world, the openness. What I would say, I would say Red Dead Redemption 2 is a better game on your second playthrough. I'm going to do a second playthrough when my wife's here. And I would say the game's definitely going to be better when I know what's coming, so I can actually roleplay it a little bit. When you're playing it the first time round, god damn it, like sometimes it just doesn't hit the mark. But for a game, absolutely phenomenal. Really glad I played it. Brilliant. And the one reason I did give Red Dead Redemption 2 an 8 originally. But the reason why I upped it to a 9 was because I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima. Now, Ghost of Tsushima getting a lot of praise at the moment, and it is a good game. It's a good game. But it's two things. One, they have what I like to call an Assassin's Creed philosophy when it comes to an open world. There's this big, expansive open world with lots of busy work to do. Okay, so, you know, and even though it's presented very nicely, so you follow foxes to certain things and you follow nice birds to certain things, presented very nicely, it's still busy work, you know, so there's like bamboo sticks you can cut apart, there's like little missions here and there that you can do to tick boxes. You can pick up artifacts, Mongol artifacts, you can pick up banners. You can, you know, and it's like when you pick up a banner, it says, you know, you've collected banner 1 out of 89 that are in the game. It's like, great, okay, fine. It's very video gamey. It breaks immersion. It's extremely busy to look at. Like, I get what people are saying, that this is the most beautiful game I've ever seen. No, it's not. No, it's not. Ghost of Tsushima is a good-looking game, all right, but there's beauty and simplicity. You look at the world of Red Dead Redemption 2. It's absolutely gorgeous because it's simple, and you're looking at it, and you're just thinking, this is gorgeous. It's got, you know, rolling hills, mountain vistas. You got trees, you got rivers, you got also, and it's simple and it's there and it's photo real. It's gorgeous to look at, and it's got an artistic style too. So it looks like one of those old West paintings, you know. Whereas Ghost of Tsushima is like someone has watched every samurai movie there is, has played a load of Shogun 2 Total War, and then sort of jizzed all over this screen and said, look, all of the cherry blossom everywhere. Can you see the cherry blossom? Can you tell it's Japan yet? Huh? Can you tell it's Japan? Look at all the cherry blossom, look at all the cherry blossom, look at all of the particles, look at all the particles, look at all the particles. Yeah, dude, I'm trying to play the game. Like, I'm trying to walk through the world. Like, things are always in motion, and it's a technical marvel, really, when you see all of the grass swishing around, and you see all of the trees swishing around, things like that. It's a technical marvel for the first 5 minutes, and after that, it just gives you a headache. Like, I'm just sitting there, like, I just want to go from A to B. I want to ride from here to here. You know, I just, there's beauty and simplicity, and I think these guys, it's almost gaudy, you know, how far they've gone. Like, the colours are way out there. So you've got, like, yellows and blues and greens, and they're all really bright. I remember playing a level in Dragon Age Inquisition called the Emerald Graves, and a lot of people saying, oh, it's such a beautiful forest. I was like, no, it's not. It's not a beautiful forest. It's too colourful. It's too perfect. Yeah? It's light green, and you hear the birds twittering, and there's elves frolicking, and there's flowers everywhere, and it's so sickly sweet. And I'm just like, ugh, you know, it just doesn't remind me of a forest. God of War's forests reminded me of a forest. They look like forests. They're beautiful. Forests are naturally beautiful. You don't need to throw a massive colour palette on there, turn the contrast way up, and call it a day. Like, and Ghost of Tsushima really like that, and so I'm not really sure how I feel about it at the moment. One thing I will say about Ghost of Tsushima is that it's very addictive, and its combat is absolutely thrilling and amazing. When you get used to it, the fact that you can't snap your camera to people is a bit off, but when you get used to it, yeah, it's an amazing combat. So that's something they've really gotten right. The writing is it's C plus, you know. It's an open world game, and it's almost like they know it, that they've done it to formula. Like, you know, yeah, okay, Samurai Revenge Tale. We need to do A, B, C, D, and just write it. Okay, that's that done. Okay, now let's do the world. You know, and that's what they're more interested in. It's just a shame that the world isn't quite hitting home for me right now. So I'm going to carry on playing it. I'm going to go see if it picks up at all. But I've played it for like 6 hours so far, so nowhere near done, obviously. But that's the impressions that I've got so far. Also, the protagonist Jin is the most boring character I think I've ever come across in gaming. But he's supposed to be an emotionless samurai who keeps his opinions to himself, so I guess that's what that is. That's my gaming news. So, what else do we have to talk about? I mean, there's not much else to talk about, really. I mean, what have I been seeing on TV? You don't really been watching TV. Well, it's mostly YouTube videos. YouTube's just completely replaced television for me. I just don't bother with television anymore. And I think TV's in a big bind. It's in big trouble when our kids start coming of age. So, like my kids, when they start getting older, and they start getting to the age when they should be watching TV, TV's dead. Because they're just going to be YouTube, and online streaming and instant content now. Why the hell should I watch adverts when I can just pay Netflix some money and be completely fine? Everyone, do you know what I mean? So I think TV's going to go the way of Blockbuster. I really do. It's going to go the way of Blockbuster. It's outdated, and it's not going to do too well. So, what else? Sports. Yeah. One last thing I want to talk about is Everton. So I support Everton Football Club. And I'm in a serious love-hate relationship with them right now. I think we have a team at the moment that is absolutely spineless. Whenever there's anything on the line, they choke, they go into themselves, and they stop playing good football. Whenever there's nothing on the line, we're instant world beaters again. And I think it's a mentality problem. I think Carlo Ancelotti needs to be given the money that he was promised in the summer, so he can go and replace a lot of this squad. To be honest with you, I would completely cancel the contract of 5 or 6 of them if I can't sell them. You know, if you can't sell Theo Walcott, cancel his contract. If you can't sell Gylfi Sigurdsson, cancel his contract. You know, they're not good enough for this level. They're just not good enough. You've got players like Jordan Pickford, who has been making howlers all season. Will make a howler and then we'll start smiling at the camera. He hasn't got the mentality. Sell him. Sell him. We'll get someone else. Gianluigi Donnarumma's available in the summer. Go get him. Yeah, he's available for 18 million. He has an 18 million pound release clause. Sell Pickford. Some mug will buy him for 30 million. Sell him. Go and get Donnarumma. Problem solved. That's all I'm going to say about them. I'm sick of... I talk about them to my grandpa every day, because I go around to my grandpa's daily to look after him and make sure he's okay. And my grandpa's a huge Evertonian, and we talk about it every day, and we sound like broken records. We're sick of it, absolutely sick of it. So hopefully in the new season we get, you know, a bit more success, so we can shut up that vermin across the park who wear red. Who I will not mention on this podcast. Anything else to mention? I don't think I've actually got anything else to mention. So, I think in the coming weeks we're going to be in the podcast. We're going to be, you know, just chilling out. I may have people on the show, you know, just to talk about different things like gaming and life in general and to bounce off. I know. Steady, my friend Steady's been on a few videos, and I know people have been looking at, been listening to people in the role playing campaign as well. Friend John will probably pop on at one stage or another to talk, to shoot the shit, and in general, that's basically much what the podcast is going to be. So, thank you very, very, very much for watching. That was the first, and hopefully will be a long line of Fireside rants. This wasn't that ranty an episode, because, again, I think I had my rant yesterday, and I'm sort of ranted out at the moment. But don't you worry, by next week, something would have pissed me off, and I'll be doing a rant. So, I'm going to be there next week. Well, actually, my wife is here. So, I may need to do my Fireside rant over the weekend, which I will do. We're getting 2 shows this week. So, I'll speak to you later on, and thanks for watching.